Hello everyone. Today is part 2 of my little mini series called How to Read a Crochet Pattern. Today we're going to take a look at all the information that you need to know before you even pick up your hook. I have these 2 patterns sitting here. I'm not allowed to show you very much of them at all, but I will show you a few things that these ladies excel in. Jen from Hooks and Tails and Vanessa from Hooked on Sunshine have a real way with pattern writing. I can tell you, as a beginner myself, I was able to crochet this pattern and the Atlanticus pattern all because of the way that Vanessa writes her patterns out. They're just brilliant. I cannot speak any more highly of them if I tried. Jen's are a little more complicated, but the bonus with hers is she has a video tutorial. It is just really enjoyable crocheting alongside of her, which is what I did when I made my high tea floral block. I'm finding as I'm aging, I've got less tolerance for reading and trying to work things out. I just want to do it smoothly and calmly and enjoy the process. So that's why I do like video tutorials more often now than a written pattern. But that's not what we're here for today. So the Sunshine Mandala blanket is designed by Vanessa from Hooked on Sunshine. She says here she wrote this pattern as an alternative to the Sunshine Owl while I was running the cowl on Facebook. She says that you can either finish your blanket off at a 120 by 120 centimetre length and width, or a 155 by 155, a square I should say. She will be including 2 different borders for the 2 respective sizes. And that's really lovely of her. That's extra effort. Materials. Materials is something we need to know. She uses a double knit or an 8-ply, yarn of your choice. She tells us here what she uses in South Africa. However, you can substitute for Stylecraft, Sheepji's, Serdar, Lion Brand, Red Heart and Karen Cakes. So that's lots of information there already, which helps you to collect your yarn. Over the page, she shows you the colours that she has chosen and writes down the name of them too. She also notes that she does crochet quite tightly, so the quantities might differ a little bit. It all depends on your own tension and your hook size. She's using a 4mm hook with this 8-ply yarn. This is also a fabulous stash busting project, so if you've got loads of odd yarn lying around, it's the perfect project for you. And she's also got here the use of bonus rounds in this blanket to make your Sunshine Owl bigger if you so wish. Alright, so these 2 are photos of the blanket that's been made by her testers. Now the next thing we go on to is abbreviations. Both ladies will give you all the stitches that are used in the pattern, how they're abbreviated in words, what their full wording is, and how to do each stitch. She says here that she uses US terminology. Okay, we'll start here with something like the beginning cluster, BEGCL. Beginning cluster, chain 2, yarn over, insert hook into the same stitch, yada, 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 yada. You get what I mean. We've got back loop only, back post double crochet, back post single crochet, chain, cluster, double crochet, and the list goes on. It's extensive, and that is excellent. Now, you can have a little look through these before you start, and there might be a whole lot that you have absolutely no idea what they are. After reading Vanessa's description of how to create the stitch, if you still don't understand, head over to YouTube or Google and find out how to make these stitches. Watch the video alongside of having the information at hand. Okay, this is what I did when I created my Atlanticus blanket. I started off as what I call essentially a beginner crocheter, and I utilized this method so that I was good enough to crochet that blanket. Any notes and tips? A new color is added on almost every round. You can, however, choose your own color palette and how often you want to change colors. Here we go, something very important. You will note that my starting chain for a double crochet and a half double crochet is chain 2. So we want to remember starting chain for half double crochet plus double crochet is chain 2. This is her personal preference. You're welcome to start with a chain 3 for a double crochet and a chain 2 for a half double crochet, or even start with a standing stitch. Do what's comfortable for you. Okay, so we have options here. We can do chain 3 and a chain 2. When working through the back loop only, turn your work over and you will see a third stitch. So she is explaining here that third stitch that I often tell you about when I'm working into a back loop only. It means back loop only plus third stitch because it gives so much more stability. Turn your work over and you will see this third stitch under the stitch you are working on. Make sure you work through this stitch as well to prevent your stitches from pulling open. And that's exactly what happens. So turn work. Now when you turn your work over and you can't understand where that third stitch is, again, go straight to Google or YouTube, and that will show you a video and it will be much easier for you to understand. Now she mentions the hidden stitch. I mention that one often to you as well. I only learnt it from Vanessa way back when I made my Atlanticus blanket. Several rounds mention the hidden stitch. Firstly, what is it? When you've completed a corner, it often hides that first stitch that's on the left-hand side. So always move the corners slightly to work that first stitch. This stitch is counted as the first stitch unless you are asked to skip the hidden stitch. Skip hidden. Sometimes when the pattern calls for. And she shows you here where that hidden stitch is. In round 8 of the mandala and also in the borders, you may need to do slip stitch. She shows you here how to use and create the slip stitch. You'll need to watch your tension, and if your work is tightening too much, you will need to increase a hook size. And that is always brilliant, because sometimes we forget to increase our hook size, especially when you're doing the moss or the linen stitch further out in a blanket and it tightens up and it makes everything look all wavy. After each round, I'll give you the stitch count for that round. This includes stitches made in the corner. Okay, so she is looking at the stitch count for one side, not all 4 sides of your work. So stitch count. Gauge. I must admit I have never made a gauge swatch before. I haven't needed to because you don't need to with blankets. Although it's not important, I prefer you to use hooks and yarns that you're comfortable with. If you purchase a yarn kit, you'll need to keep to my tension and gauge, or you may run out of yarn. She tells here how a 5 round granny square should measure about 11.5 centimetres. The first 5 rounds of your mandala should measure 10 centimetres. To get started, make chain 4 and slip stitch into the first chain to form a ring. Alternatively, you can use magic ring or a chain ring. And then here we start to see exactly what Vanessa does, which is outstanding. She takes a photo of every single row or round as she tells you how to do it. Round 1, she gives you the colour that she used. She tells you what to crochet and then gives you the stitch count. So 12 half double crochets. And this goes on for the whole blanket. Now, what happened was, when I was doing the Atlanticus, we would come up to these places where I'd go, what on earth is a treble 2 together? So you turn your work back to the abbreviations and notes, and you find treble 2 together. So this is treble crochet 2 together, and it tells me how to do it. If I still don't know how to do it, then I open up my phone, I look on YouTube, and someone there will have a video to show me how to do it. Here we are. I've got the Atlanticus. Measures 145 centimetres by 145, double knit, 4mm hook. There's the colours, the colour names. Colourway 2, tension and gauge. That's your gauge swatches, some notes and tips about the pattern. Stitch count, blue parentheses. Okay, this one shows you the 4 different types of brackets. So the blue parentheses, in some of the trickier rounds, I'll give you further instruction to help you get your stitch placement right. How good is that? In the curly brackets, that indicates a complete corner. Square brackets indicates a repeat. So you'll be doing a certain sequence over again. You will need to repeat these stitches the specified amount of times. Then the parentheses indicates a group of stitches that need to be worked into the same stitch or the same space. Square bracket information works along the top of your stitches, whereas the parentheses may have 2 double crochet, chain 3, 2 double crochet, and that all goes in the one stitch. That's the difference between the two. Okay, she talks about the hidden stitch, the back loop only again, how to do the seamless join when you finish your round, how to do standing stitches, how to do puff stitches, beginning with a chain 2 or beginning with a loop, front post decreases. So in this one, she's showing you a whole lot more stitches with photos attached. Then it gives you all your abbreviations. So you've got a page and a half of those. So you can see how she offers you enough information so that someone who hasn't done a lot of crochet can actually manage to create this pattern. Like I said, I would go through row by row. Say I was at this row and I didn't know how to do double crochet 2 together. I would go back to my abbreviations, see where it is, see what it's really called, and then Google it or YouTube it, have a look visually to see how someone makes it, and then I make it. So then I would move along with my row. Now I just did this for the whole blanket. Some of you mightn't have the patience and might find that tedious, but to me it was a journey of discovery of new stitches, new methods of doing things. Honestly, I only knew the basics, but I was all in for it. I was so excited and I was going to do this. I still finished at the same time that the crochet along went for, so I wasn't going overtime just because I was having to learn, you know, maybe a new stitch for nearly every round. It was like that. Honestly, I didn't know what all of these things were. It was amazing. It was one of those projects I came away from and I felt so wonderful with what I'd learned and with what I'd achieved. So let's have a little look here at Jen Tyler's. Here's her colourway, the name of the yarn and the numbers. Hook size between a 4 and a 5mm. This one says skill level, adventurous beginner to intermediate. I didn't see a skill level on Vanessa's, but basically it can just be everybody because her patterns are written so well that anyone at any level can do it. US terminology. You should be familiar with these particular stitches. So if you've picked up this pattern, you need to work your way through, have a look at these abbreviations, see if you know what each of these mean, and if you don't, go in search of them. Watch your videos and figure out how they work. A UK to US conversion chart, some yarn information, completed block weights. This translates to 5 balls. I've used 15 colours of 100 grams. Welcome to High Tea. It's a floral themed Afghan block. It's a series of 4. If you love layers, 3D effects and oodles of texture, then this one will tick all the boxes. Okay, pattern includes video instruction, written instruction, instruction images. You will need scissors, tape measure, darning needle, stitch markers. So that's back to materials. Up here, yarn, Sheepshear's Colour Crafted DK. So there we go. There's our yarn. Premium acrylic. Block size, 50cm by 50cm. And that's about it for Jen's. She hasn't written some of these things that Vanessa has written down, like a 1.5 pages of abbreviations. You just have to go off and learn those yourself and write them down somewhere. Make a cheat sheet for yourself, okay? It'll save a whole lot of time. Now, she doesn't mention the 3rd stitch, but I know for sure she mentions it throughout the pattern as she's going. Same with the hidden stitch. Stitch count. Let's see. Do we have stitch counts at the end of each row or round? No, we don't. But the other thing you'll notice as we're going through this is that Jen also offers so many photos that shows you how to do the crochet stitches. And that, I think, is such an important thing. These days, if I see a pattern that is just all writing, even though it may be abbreviations, I really get disappointed because I love to see a photo next to the actual pattern. I think I've just been spoilt by Vanessa because the Atlanticus was the first special blanket that I made. I did do the Sunshine Mandala. That was a little easier than the Atlanticus. The Atlanticus really skyrocketed my ability and my confidence and I was no longer a beginner. By the time I finished this, I felt like that I could almost tackle anything. So I highly, highly suggest, if you would love to make a really special blanket and you want to have great instruction with great photos, look at these, all the way along, showing you how to do front post to double crochet together, I think. You know, it's all there. So that brings us to the end of part 2, how to read a crochet pattern. This is all the information that you need before you actually do start reading the crochet pattern. And there's quite some amount of it, isn't there? But that's okay. That's exciting. That's getting ready. It's the anticipation of what's to come. So I love a good few pages of project information. Always have ever since I had this experience. So I hope that part has been helpful for you. And the next part we'll get into talking more about those brackets and parentheses and how you work those out. Until then, take lots of care and I'll see you really soon. Bye for now.